The match is happening today. I met Gordon Darcy on Friday night. What a charming bloke he is. Lovely, polite, reserved guy. And I've been in touch with Rob Carney, who's injured at the moment, but is coming back in a couple of months apparently. Well, I went to Clongowes. I was sent by an Irish mother who had married an English father, in my case. Over here, I think maybe that was part of the matrimonial deal. The boys were sent to Clongowes and the girls were educated in England. But this was sort of just after the war, in 1955, when things were very, very different. It was rigorously academic. It was heartless, verging on brutal. We never won the Senior Leinster Cup. But I think it was great grounding, actually. When I compare the education that I had with my friends in England, it was a much more literary sort of education. What did I get out of it? Apart from a halfway decent education. I think that a sense of justice was instilled in us as kids, and honesty. So I think, looking around at my classmates today, 49 years after I left, I think we all share some common values, and I think those are a desire for justice, actually, without wishing to sound like some sort of spiritual big shot. And I think we're all pretty honest people. Back in those dark days, no. Business was never mentioned at all. And I think that I left there without any idea about business at all. So it was all about Latin and English and French and mathematics. No economics training, no business studies, nothing like that at all. And in a sort of snobby way, business was slightly frowned on. So they educated a sort of a professional class and an academic class. And funnily enough, the three streams, the top stream was sort of the academics, the middle stream were the professional crowd, and the bottom stream were the business boys, who all made a fortune. Yeah, well, I didn't actually set it up. I joined a great man and bought him out shortly afterwards, so he had actually set it up. I was looking for something to do. To be blunt, I wanted to go to London, that's what I did. Back in '83, I got a call from his company because we'd been recommended to launch his first computer, which was a games computer. The market was dominated by Commodore and Sinclair. And he wanted to launch one with a monitor, which sounds sort of obvious these days, but in those days, people thought that was a flash of genius. A monitor, really? So that's what he did anyway, and we launched it for him, and it was a success, big launch, successful launch. And then he's the sort of chap that if you do okay, you sort of stay on. And so it was that I stayed on from '83 to 2004. I'd sold my company actually back in '98. I thought, God, I'll get out of this as fast as I possibly can. But he kept me on. And so, interestingly, did another client that I'd had for many, many years, which was the Secretariat of His Highness, the Aga Khan, through a pal of mine at school, Jerry Wilkinson, who was one of his senior people in Chantilly in Paris. So they both kept me on, and I then worked until 2004. But in answer to your question, we were recommended to him, and it was a good moment.
Great.
Sugar's ability is really to sort of unearth for the first time an obvious idea that nobody else has had. So the teaming a monitor with a computer with a system unit was obvious, but he did it. Similarly, a word processor. I just spent £13,000 back in '85 on a word processing system called WordPress from Canada. And then he rang me up about 3 weeks later and said, oh, we've just invented a word processor that'll sell for $399. Killed the typewriter market stone dead, overnight. And I remember the IBM golf ball typewriters that you couldn't lift up, made of solid steel. Killed them. They cost £1,000 in those days. And so he went on. Satellite television was new. A very original thinker. But sometimes, as soon as he's done it, you realise actually it was obvious. It was just he thought of it. Alan Sugar's a great character, great character. He has a number of sort of tremendous strengths. First of all, anybody who works for him would follow him through a minefield because he's very inspirational, very loyal to his people, looks after his people. I'm not saying that he's a graduate of any of the better known charm schools at all. He's pretty deadly and will tell you straight to your face within milliseconds when you've done something wrong in a very forceful manner. But everybody in his team, would kill for him because he's that sort of bloke. Very inspirational, yeah.